Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. It's another episode of Perspective and another amazing woman on my show today. She too is a nominee on Women of a Purpose. It's amazing through this nomination process, I've met the most amazing women, and they truly, truly inspire me, and inshallah will be a huge inspiration for you as well. Our guest this morning is Angie Diale. She is a life coach and author, a philanthropist. She's also a filmmaker, and more importantly, she is an author of children's books. What's exciting about having her in studio today is the 16 days of activism of no violence against women and children is obviously currently happening right now. And we don't only need these 16 days of the year to remind us about the rights of women and children. We need to be talking about this all of the time. And Angie has huge focus regarding this issue in one of her first books. We will cover that a little later on in the show, and we're going to highlight the importance of gender-based violence and how we need to make our girl and boy children aware of this heinous crime. And inshallah, through this conversation with Angie Diale, we will be able to give some advice, some guidelines to young people out there if they feel they're in a situation of danger. Maybe if there's certain activities or maybe certain things they say, perhaps they can stop their perpetrator from violating them. So welcome. I do hope you're going to enjoy the show with my esteemed guest, and that, of course, is Angie Diale. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the program.
Walaikum salam. Thank you for having me.
And congratulations. I understand you've just started your journey into Islam.
Absolutely.
How did that come about?
I met wonderful people in my life. I've been surrounded by Muslims. And I met a wonderful woman, Miss Fozia Jackson, who slowly introduced me, but I was a little bit reluctant, and, still, trying to get my feet off the ground. And Allah has been great that more people came into my life that introduced a whole lot of things, opened up a level of understanding what Islam is all about. So I am starting this journey boldly, and I would like to say that when I started and made the decision, it was the best thing in my life.
How long ago did you make the decision? Because it came at quite a price, did it not?
It did.
Although I do hasten to add that Allah is the best of planners. Yeah. So everything in your life has been planned, but taking this decision has cost you your marriage. Tell us a little bit about it.
The issue is when it comes to understanding the gist of when you make a decision to follow a certain religion, most of the people, they don't understand the transition. The transition can cause a lot of friction. As I mentioned earlier, that it took one to leave the relationship because of me choosing a different a religion. So
and a different path in life,
yeah,
obviously.
It took a toll, and it affected me to a point where I nearly lost myself. And you become a person where you struggle to choose. You don't know, must I follow him or must I follow the religion? So I've decided to stick to what I believe in, to say, Allah God is what we need, and let me follow and see where I'll end. So I'm really happy that I made that choice.
You have 3 amazing children, alhamdulillah, I think 19, 13 and 3, is that right? Of course, the 3-year-old is way too young to understand what's happening around his little life and circle.
Yeah.
But the older children, how did they respond to you regarding your decision? And were you able to explain to them why there are these major changes in their lives and the reason for the split between you and your husband?
The issue is, what I like about the situation is, we were introduced, we lost everything after I had challenges of my own with the kids. My daughter was diagnosed of leukemia. So we lost everything to a point where we're sleeping in a car. And that's when Miss Fozia came and introduced me to a beautiful, amazing woman, Abba Latifa, for me to go stay there. She runs a home there. So when we got there, it was a slum. So my kids joined. It just melted in. They just. My son started going to the madrasa, my daughter going to the madrasa, learning, speaking in Arabic and all that, and making dua, and with the guidance of Abba Latifa's husband and Abba Latifa, all those things that helped us. I really thank Allah for allowing my kids. I didn't have to do much. I didn't have to say much. It just happened.
Subhanallah. And I met Abba Latifa last week on my show. She is an amazing woman.
Yes.
She's dedicated her life to Islam and the upliftment of others underprivileged.
Yes.
You have such a rich history.
Yes.
When I talk about your CV, for example, I introduced you as being a life coach, an author, poet, filmmaker, and a philanthropist.
Yes.
People will think your life is all about happily ever after. But there were lots of struggles in your life.
Yes.
You've indicated you slept in a car for a while.
Yeah.
You lost all your life belongings when your daughter was diagnosed with leukemia.
Yes.
So people would think that your life is really easy, but it was a struggle. You found yourself and you're moving on. And before we do move on, how is your daughter doing? Is she in remission with her leukemia?
I can proudly say she's free of cancer.
Alhamdulillah.
She's a survivor. The only thing that she's taking now is supplements, obviously, that the leukemia caused a little, she's suffering from anemia. She's anemic. So that's the only thing that's left. But everything else, I thank Allah, it's gone.
A rich, beautiful, fulfilled life, inshallah.
Gee.
A life coach, author, poet, filmmaker, and philanthropist. That's a lot.
Yeah.
If I'd be sitting here and saying to people I'm an author, I'd be truly proud for just that one achievement. But you have a string of achievements. Which talks to you the loudest, or which of those achievements of yours is closest to your heart?
Being an author. Being an author, because it incorporates everything. It brings the filmmaker, it brings the poet, it brings the philanthropist in, it brings everything that you have mentioned. Being an author, it addresses everything. It's an umbrella of my life. So I embrace that fully, because it gives me a chance to explore who I am through writing.
I talk about you being a filmmaker as well. Let's rather go back and talk about you being a life coach. So all of this gives me an indication that there was a very dark past in your life.
Yes.
Then you found yourself, and allow you to tell us about it.
Yes.
You went on and achieved so much in your life. Then you hit a rock in the road once again. But alhamdulillah, you managed to pick up the pieces and move on. So right now we make shukr, alhamdulillah, life is great, life is good, and you are embracing it as a true Muslimah, inshallah.
Gee.
Why did you choose to go on a life coaching course?
The reason behind it is while I started a campaign called Walk and Talk. That was back in 2010. I was working for the SABC. I left because I felt this urge to start something. So during these walks, I would go into little villages and, everywhere, just interviewing people. And I started meeting a whole lot of people and started jotting down their stories. And with their permission and, willingness, I started developing concepts of my creativity to say, let me put this on air, let me record this and see if people cannot learn from it. And it's not about what I believe in when coming to my work, and especially as a filmmaker. Let me tell you a story that will make you realize that you need to make a choice. It's either I'm going forward or I choose to remain here. And after watching that film, you're going to have to make a decision. And that decision for me is you're going to have to make a positive decision. So all my films, it's about motivation. It's about the reality of what's happening. And the most important thing, finding yourself. You have to find yourself as a human being. So I write to inspire. I make film to inspire.
Okay, we've got a few minutes to our first ad break. In fact, a half a minute at that.
Yeah.
I spoke about the coaching. How important was that in your life?
Yes.
But we will respond to that right after the ad break.
Okay.
And of course, we also want you to share with us how many films have you actually produced very quickly?
Okay, the one that it's called My 10. It's one film that went out. It was well received. It was by the Johannesburg Film Festival. So it really opened up doors for me.
Wonderful. We're going to talk about your films, life coaching, and more importantly, your writing, because I know that's closest to your heart.
Thanks.
My amazing guest this morning is Angie Anissa Diale. As you've picked up, she's an author, filmmaker, philanthropist. She's also a mother and a life coach, and we're going to try and unpack as much as we possibly can, simply to inspire all of those amazing women out there. Welcome back. We are talking with Angie Anissa Diale. She is a woman with so many talents, alhamdulillah. We're going to now focus on something that's closest to her heart, and that is children's literature. Let's start off with the inspiration, what inspired her to write her first children's book, which is called The Pink Lamp. What was the motivation, and does she believe that having written that story has made a difference and given her peace and closure regarding that very dark episode in her life?
Absolutely. Wow, this is one of the topics that I jump in with pride, because when I always relate the story, it takes me back. At first, I was a bit reluctant and not wanting to revisit this. When I was 12, myself, my sister, my late sister, and my stepsister went to church those years, and on our way home, we were traveling like an hour drive from the church to home, and we got into a taxi, and unfortunately into the wrong taxi. They took us somewhere where it's like an abandoned shack where my sisters were raped for hours, the whole night until the following morning. So I watched. They forced me to watch.
How many people were there involved?
8 guys. 8 guys were there. It's still as fresh as the morning sun coming out.
How come you were not attacked and raped?
I believe that it's God. I'm not saying that my sisters deserved it or how, but it showed me that on that day, I had to see what was happening, but God saved me, because what happened is, as it was carrying on, my sister, my biological sister, when they wanted to rape me, she got up, I remember, or whatever that was happening that day was not nice, but she got up and she pushed the guy away and said, "You can repeat on me and leave my sister." So they pushed me aside and they kept on going. They kept on going, but they were holding my neck so I see everything. Until around 3 a.m., one guy said, "Guys, it's enough. She's young. Can she just go outside, you know?" And one guy took me out, and that's how but unfortunately, I saw everything. Now,
what happened after that? That trauma, because you were exposed to secondhand trauma, you were made to watch this horrific scene
yes,
on innocent girls, and they were your two older sisters.
it worked on me because in our families, you know, growing up as children, we're not allowed to discuss such things. And I went home. I remember the first thing my sister said, "Don't tell her mother." So I'm one child that believed at that time that I have to tell, because this is trauma for me. I couldn't stop thinking about it. I couldn't, you know, when I look at my sisters, I just cry. And I told my mom, and my mom beat me up, because it was like, "Don't come and talk about things like this and whatever." "Mommy, this is what happened." But she didn't listen. I understand at the time, you know, as a parent, you don't want to accept it. But in the later stage, it affected my sister to a point where she neglected her life, and later diagnosed of HIV, because she just started, you know, living her life recklessly because of the hurt. So I believe that maybe if at that time we did something, you know, as an 12-year-old girl, you want to do so much to help somebody, but you can't. It disturbed me.
Obviously, they didn't get medical attention at all.
Nothing at all.
There was no counseling, nothing at all. And that was way back in the day, what, about 15, 20 years ago or longer?
Yeah, it's longer. I was 12, I'm 44 now.
Okay.
So we're talking 20-something years ago. So what triggered the pain in me is not being able to speak as a child, which is still happening until today. You see something, you're trying to say it as it is, you're not allowed to, because there's this wall that is put between you and the problems that we face in this world, especially when coming to rape and all that.
And sadly, that's part of our culture, is it not?
It is.
We don't speak about these things because we're afraid we're going to be judged, or we're going to be blamed for what has happened to us. But that being said, I'm kind of wondering, do you truly believe that since that time, you know, going back to your 12-year-old self to now, that things have changed to such an extent that we talk openly about these issues, we talk about counseling, we talk about mental difficulties that we are undergoing because of what the trauma we've been subjected to. I also want to understand very quickly, after the perpetrators left, how did you girls manage to get home? And were you asked, where were you, did your parents ask, where were you all night, all day and night? What was the situation like?
Okay, when they left, we ran out. We ran out, seek for help. Another taxi driver came who know my father very well. So we went in, we didn't say anything. We went home. He dropped us at home. When we got there, my sisters obviously said, "Don't say anything. Let's just tell mommy that one of the church members helped us with accommodation until this morning. We are safe." And someone that knows my dad obviously brought us. So my mother bought the story. But I was not okay with it. And it works on you as a person to say, I might have survived, but what about them? They needed the help. They needed to somebody to be there for them. As you say, that things have changed. Now there's more help. there's help out there, but there's still that stigma around it. The kids or whoever is going through it, whether women or men, they need somebody. They need someone they can rely on. There's that void in you. Even if you can go to a psychologist, you still need your family member.
And the stigma you talk about is the judgment. It's
Yes.
about she must have done something wrong for this to have happened to her. She must
Yes.
have encouraged
Yes.
the
Yes.
guy to take advantage of her situation.
Yes.
Sadly, we need to get beyond that hump.
Absolutely.
And hopefully, as the generations go forward, we'll be able to educate ourselves that much more and own our spaces and own our rights and own our bodies.
Yeah.
That then brings us to The Pink Lamp, the
Yes.
book
Yes.
that you wrote in memory of that horrid experience in
Yes.
your life.
Yes.
What is it all about, and how long did it take you to build up the courage to write the book?
It took me years. It took me years because I didn't want to visit that shack until one day I decided to revisit. I remember I was sitting in my lounge, and this happened 3 years ago, just after I moved out of Glasbreid West. I went to Protea Glen. As I was sitting in my lounge, I made the decision to say, I need to revisit that shack. I closed my eyes, I went in. It was still horrible.
You revisited it in your
In
mind,
my mind.
not physically.
Not physically. I closed my eyes, I went back in there. And I saw myself. I thought to myself, hi Angie, hi Anissa. I'm revisiting you as an adult. You are me. You are 12 years old. What do I do for you? How would you have wished that things worked out at that time? What do you need? How can I help you? It was difficult for me to speak to myself in that shack because I remembered everything, how my sisters laid there and helpless, and
This is very difficult for you. I
Yeah.
can see that. Allah give you strength, inshallah.
Yeah, it made me stronger to go back in there, and I managed to interview myself in that shack, and the young girl that I saw that day, which is me, needed help, needed closure, needed to be stronger. I then went back to myself to say, I'm a mother of 3 now. I need to know that there's a child out there who's the same as me at that time, 12 years old. How do I assist this child? I wrote The Pink Lamp. The Pink Lamp is about a special lamp that is pink, different from all other children. I found myself different from that day. The day I left the shack, I was different. I did things differently. I thought differently. I perceived life differently. I took everything serious, that my journey in life, I'm going to protect people. I made that vow when I was young. So the book is about a pink lamp that is a superhero in the book, and she used her voice, her singing voice, to calm the storm. In the book, there was a huge storm coming, and all animals ran for help. And when the pink lamp started singing, this is the healing I found when I through my voice, people heal. And when she started singing, the storm lessened, and everything went back to normal, and all animals were saved. So I always say, with my word, I sing to them, the kids, and they will heal.
Through The Pink Lamp,
Through
the
the
book.
Pink Lamp, the book.
And this is the way you're reaching out to children and children who might have experienced horrors in their
Yes.
life. We've got to go for our next ad break, but very quickly,
Yes.
did you at any point in your life go through counseling just to get closure?
Yes, I did.
You did?
I did.
Did it help you?
counsel.
Did it work for you?
It worked for me. It really works. It's all about your mindset, how you receive the information, and what you do with it afterwards.
So if you're open-minded and you open yourself up to the universe, the goodness, and you give the universe permission to heal you, it will happen,
Absolutely.
inshallah. And we will now have to go for that ad break. When we get back, we will obviously carry on the story, this amazing story of the pink lamp with our guest, Angie Diale. Fascinating, and I think lots of lessons for all of us to take away from the story and this interview, inshallah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I am in the company of an amazing woman who's achieved so much in her life. But that doesn't mean that she's not had challenges. The dark periods in her life were extremely dark. But she picked herself up. She's moved on. She's now also become a philanthropist. She's not only a life coach. She's not only an author. She's not only a filmmaker. She's also a mother of 3 children. She's survived a daughter with leukemia. The daughter is now 19 years old. She survived living in a car for days and weeks on end with her 3 children. And here she is with a story of hope and success. We're going to talk about her philanthropy. But before we do, quickly tell us, when was the book launched and what were the sales like?
The book was launched last year, I think around September. Yeah, around September. It was awesomely received.
Alhamdulillah.
Parents, kids. It's amazing how you see people looking at something that you've created and finding solace and peace in it. So I'm really grateful that it went very well.
This has led you to write subsequent books, and you're going to tell us about them.
Yes.
And also a collaboration with the publishing house.
Yes, yes.
Tell us about that.
Okay, what I'm doing at the moment is I'm publishing the books online. I've got an online store on Payhip, Amazon, everywhere. So the reason why I did that, I wanted to fully express myself, you know, and in terms of being independent and private. The only disadvantage is currently wanting to print books like the hardcovers, because online not everybody has access to internet, especially in the rural areas, even in Joburg. Not everyone has data or Wi-Fi every day.
And data is expensive.
It's expensive. So I want to venture into print, because my dream is let these kids get these books and keep them in their bags and in your home, in your little box or whatever, and collect these books so that you can have something that you can even donate to your kids in future. So that's my aim for now, and prayer to, you know, to in the later stage to get maybe help in terms of publishing the books, because my dream is let these kids have these books and hold them and do something about it that is positive.
The Pink Lamp is your story of survival, your story of the horrors of being subjected to watch your 2 sisters being raped repeatedly. How do you relate the story in the book, and what is the message, the key message you want to give to young people or adolescents that find themselves in compromised situations? What is that message in the book, and also as you speak with me today?
Yes, in the book, the pink lamp represents someone, a child that's different. You can be different because of how you look. You bullied for that. You abused for that. You know, just to go off the topic a little bit, I was one child that was different in my family. The way I think, the way I speak. So my mom treated me differently from my sister. You know, obviously because
was that
of
pre or post the trauma of the
pre.
So you were different, right?
Yeah,
from the time
I grew
you were
up
little.
seeing that. You know, it must. Okay, as I went on, I understood that my mom, I look a lot like my father. And because they had issues, so when she looks at me, it created that, you know, it happens. So the treatment was different and all that. So going back to the pink lamp, a child grows up with seeing and noticing things in the house that I'm not treated the same way as the other kids. But I took a 10 and I said, I'm going to use that to my advantage. Every morning when I wake up, knowing that my mom has this issue, hi, mommy, I love you. And I would say to her, no matter what, you're my mom. I remember my words as a young girl. I love you. And I will make sure that I protect you one day. She would get furious with me. But I kept on practicing that. And mind you, it's about the mindset. If children are going through something, let's pray for our kids that inshallah Allah can make a way for them to develop as quick as possible. I had to develop at that time. I had to take a stand as a young little girl to say, I'm going to be different and I'm going to fight for my family, no matter what. So the pink lamp, it's a child that is treated differently because of how they look or how they behave or something that is different about them that stands out.
And different is not bad.
It's not bad.
Different is about your individuality. And look at you sitting here in front of me, a huge success, despite the dark periods in your life.
Yes, the book celebrates this pink lamp that is judged because she's pink. And there is a naughty rabbit that is jealous. Sorry, the duck that is jealous that why is this person received well in the camp, in the farm. I don't like this one. Why is she celebrated? Because she's beautiful and pink. The fair is beautiful, but this one has a problem, which in the later stage, because of how the pink lamp carried themselves, the duck ended up being friendly to her. You see, so how you carry yourself and how you embrace who you are can touch someone else to also say, but I want to be like them.
And it's also about if you respect yourself enough.
Yes.
People around you will notice and they will start respecting you.
Yes.
So what's the follow-up to The Pink Lamp? How many books in total have you written? And if you can tell us about those very quickly.
Okay. After the Pink Lamp, I wrote the book called Sibusiso. It's about the boy who comes from an underprivileged home where the father is on the wheelchair and he's struggling to make ends meet. But by the grace of God, one day he visited the father's work. The father was working by the train station, controlling trains and all. He went there and all the time he watched what the father is doing without the father being, aware. So one day the snake came in, bit the father fell off on the ground. The boy had to control the trains because he's been seeing what the father is doing. So the book is teaching us that
the moral
of the story, teach yourself how to respond to situations and learn as a child that in future, the things that you learn might help your family or others.
Other books, and which is the book that is closest to your heart? The Pink Lamp.
The Pink Lamp. The Pink Lamp.
Okay.
I'm working on one now for Pendelulu that we'll talk about a bit later. It's now my new baby. Yeah, it's now my new baby. That's where I incorporated everything. Tried to put everything that I've been writing and going through with the kids in one book. And I registered a company called Pendelulu Creations. So that's where the book will be published under.
How many books in total have you written?
I've written 5 books for kids.
And the other 2 titles, what are they called?
It's called Melody and the Pony. Melody and the Pony. And then Petty the Arty. It's like children who have gifts. They can paint, they can do so I incorporate everything. Melody is the love of animals. The book is about how you can show your love towards animals. And the other one, it's about art. Our kids, sometimes you're not performing well academically. So the book strengthens that to say, let's show them the value of what they have. Instead of saying, you have no academic background. We crush our children. So the book, it simply says, if you identify that your child can do something else besides, and encourage them. Buy them paint, brush, see what they can do. If it's soccer, if it's rugby, see what they can do. Make them feel good because they are the future.
So those are your books, very close to your heart as an author.
Yes.
But you also dabbled in filmmaking because you are a product of AFTA.
Yes.
So you had the right training,
Yes.
and you went into filmmaking. Tell us a little bit about that. And what I've picked up is, in each of the books that you've written,
Yes.
a little bit of your life story is
Yes.
encompassed in that book.
Yes.
So what about your filmmaking?
About the filmmaking, the beauty about it is, as I emphasized in the beginning, that the walks that I was taking, I met a whole lot of people. When I looked at my story, I was like, wow, I thought I had issues.
You journalized everything, I presume.
Yes. I made sure that I put that and convert that into film. And like, for example, I'm going to give you an example of My Turn. My Turn is a woman who was, the husband thought they killed the woman for her monies, as an author, as a poet who was a survivor. So because of what I went through and the challenges that nearly got me to a point where I give up, I came out of the ashes, and she came out. She was thrown in the river. The husband thought she's gone. And then she came back, met people, fought to go get her kids back. You know, it shows us that no matter what people have done, forgiveness is important.
Okay, so how many films have you produced and directed up to this point?
It's actually My Turn that I was focusing on. Though I wrote another one called The Crafter. The Crafter also, it's about cars. This boy who was also not academically strong, but because of the father, sickness and all that, he managed to come out of his corner of...
Okay, hold that thought. We need to go for our next ad break. Lots more to cover on the show today.
Thank you so much.
My guest is Angie Diale, talking about her amazing life. Don't go away. Lots more to cover on the show today. Welcome back. My amazing guest is Angie Diale. She's had quite a life. Her journey's been absolutely amazing, and as I keep saying, notwithstanding that she's had some very, very dark phases in her life, but she has risen above all of that, and she's truly achieved phenomenal success. It may not be monetarily, but she's done much with her life, alhamdulillah. Angie, back to you. Let's very quickly wrap up on the filmmaking side, because there are two very fascinating areas that I still want to explore with you before our time's up today.
Yes. The film. Okay, currently My Turn went abroad after the film festival here in Johannesburg and Durban. So it went abroad. The reason why I sold it that side, it's the fact that I had to develop other things. So I needed the funds. You know, sometimes you need to, it was a very, difficult decision, because that's my baby. That's my movie. But I had to let go because of the funds that I needed to do other things.
And then you give up all rights to the film, don't you?
Yes. So I'm currently busy with The Crafter, which I'm busy again with the funding, trying to get the funds to come in to produce the film locally in South Africa.
It's really difficult. It's great to be a filmmaker. It's great to be an author. It's great to be all of these amazing things.
Yes.
But funding is a big issue in South Africa, is it not?
Yes.
What about the SABCs of this world? Can you knock on their doors, or is it a situation of we've got our own screenwriters, etc., we can't help with funding?
Yeah, the thing is, when coming to the SABC and all that, they have their own, or all other production companies, they have their own protocols and how they what they expect from you as a filmmaker. So according to me, I had to hold back because of certain things that I saw that as a filmmaker, I need recognition for the work that I do. And I appreciate the platforms and all that. And I've explored a few in terms of writing a series, which I'm busy with at the moment, that I wanted to explore and see if I can maybe approach them in terms of how they work. It might not be funding, but a platform. So you still need to get funding. We have people like the GFC, we have NFVF, where we go and ask for funding. So I'm busy with those processes as well.
And that criteria is pretty rigid, is it not? You've
Yeah.
got to knock and knock and
You
knock
can
till
knock,
they let
knock,
you in.
knock until they let you in. So it's quite difficult, but inshallah, everything will come
Ameen,
right.
ameen, thumma ameen. You are a philanthropist as well. You alluded to it in our discussion when you said you walked through South Africa.
Yes.
You walked through rural villages. You
Yes.
met amazing people and you documented all of their stories.
Yes.
That's part of your philanthropy.
Yes.
Why did you decide to cover over 600 kilometers in your first walk and then 325 kilometers? This, you walked to these different villages, etc.
Yes. Yes.
Talk to us about that and how did you prepare for that journey and what did you get out of it?
Okay, it's amazing because the people that were, a friend of mine passed away, Chef Semi Mashile. We met in 2010 after he saw the first walk that I did. The reason why the walk was initiated is the fact that when people see you doing something, not only for myself, but benefiting others, it was the fact that I wanted to take my word out there. That was the most important thing. The issue is there were people that needed shoes, school shoes, a house, all those things I incorporate with my team, and we go out to say we're going to help. But the most important thing was for me to spread the word. What do you struggle from? We met a woman, abused and all that. We take your details, get you around people that can assist you. My books, I wrote books about women and men and all that. So the issue was to raise awareness about, especially during the 16 days of activism. I did that during that time in 2010 to reach out one-on-one. Sometimes we publish on papers, on radio, on TV. People don't have a one-on-one conversation. So I came out as a sacrificing lamb to say, I am here, talk to me in person. That's why I did it.
How do you prepare for those walks? Because clearly you alluded to a team.
Yes.
How do you put together a team? And it costs money.
It costs money.
To go on those walks.
Costs money.
Very quickly, can you tell us about that?
Yes, we got a lot of sponsors at that time in terms of a support car, accommodation. We had tents where sometimes we camp, and we had sponsors in terms of accommodation in hotels, and everything, logistics was covered, safety, ambulance, police, hospitals, everywhere. We covered everything because if someone collapsed, we know that we can take them with arrangements. And food, we made sure that we contact every shop going to Durban to say, okay, we're going to be in Pinetown. Can we come fetch this? People came on board, and we were highly supported.
How big was your team?
I had a team of 7.
Okay.
A driver and the 6 were
and so
working.
You
artists.
Start your walk in the morning, and then at night you camp wherever, a house, a hotel, etc.
Yeah.
How long did those walks take?
It took 16 days.
Okay, 16 days of activism.
Yes, it took 16
Marvelous.
days.
What did you personally learn from that, apart from journalizing the people's stories? But how did Angie and Nisha grow during that process?
It took me to a level where I had to find myself. I had to realize that no matter what I went through, many people are going through a whole lot of more of what I thought I went through. So I grew, I learned, I met people that changed my life, and I thank Allah for introducing me to that life, because I managed to meet people that until today we still keep in touch.
Wow.
And I happy that I took this initiative, it really, really changed my life. Until today, I don't stop talking about it. The experience, the pain, the coming out of situations, because it's not easy to walk. You know, you get tired, you go down, up. It brings you to a point where whatever that you have experienced, you're literally doing it. You go down, you rest. That's what we go through. It taught me to resilience, patience, and faith.
Your body takes a bounding as well.
Yes.
When did you undertake these walks, and how did that change the little 12-year-old girl that was subjected to the horrors of the rape of her two sisters by 8 men?
Yes.
I'm sure that was part of the
Healing.
agenda as well regarding the walks.
Yes.
How have you shifted in your thinking, and how has it changed and grown you as a person?
During those walks, as I said, that there are, on the N3, there are roads that are very steep. That's when you quiet, because remember we start as a group. As we go, we separate. Some can walk, some. So I was alone. Most of the time I was alone, calling Allah and asking for healing. You go up and you like, I'm going to get to the top. When you go down, I'm going to get there and I'm going to make it. So it changed the way I think. If I can do it in my physical being, in my spirit, I can be tougher and stronger. So I came out stronger, because whatever that I was experiencing as a young girl, as an adult, I had to go through things, and walking as well. It taught me that life is like this.
Absolutely.
You just have to keep going.
Okay, let's talk about your million cookie campaign.
Wow.
I mean, I can't even get my head around the
Yes.
figure million. I'm not even sure how many zeros
Yes.
you ought to write when you're talking about
Yes.
million.
Yes.
How did you develop that concept? When did it happen? And how did you put your plan into action?
It happened in 2012. It happened in 2012. I was in my house in Protea Glen, and I decided, you know what? I met a woman actually in Vilakazi Street in Soweto, who is doing your arts works, you know, everything. So I met her, and then she told me her life story and all that. And I said, you know what? I'm going to help you with your kids. And I met another family in Protea South that needed a home. So I contacted, I'm sorry to mention, if it's okay, Tobela FM, it's SABC radio station, for them to come and help the family. So they donated everything, from your bricks to cement and everything. Food, Christmas for them was okay. It was during the December holidays. So I started saying, you know what? Instead of, I believe in one thing, no matter how connected you are and you have donors and all that, do something. Show some effort that I sacrifice myself. We are going to bake, to show that, to encourage somebody. And I had my team to say, if you want something, don't just rely on others. Do something about it. Pour your sweat in it, so that tomorrow when you look at it, you know that your journey and your frustrations and your pain went through that with you, and this is the results. So we baked with my team, and at the end of the day, the family was sorted. We bought groceries for them. Everything was sorted. The house was standing, was finished. Everything was okay.
How long did you guys take to bake 1 million cookies? Where did you operate from? And you keep referring to your team. Who are these people that you refer to as your team?
Yes, my wonderful friend who passed on, Chef Semi. And I have 2 ladies, my friend Huitzi Mang, and the 3 ladies she brought. And there were 2 guys as well that came with Chef Semi that were under his academy, the culinary department. So he brought chefs as well to come and help. And we had volunteers.
Oh, wow.
People that would bring buckets and buckets from their homes. So it wasn't all about us baking. There were many people also. So whatever you bring, we count it in. We count it in.
And the time span or the time frame
it took us
that was
3
achieved?
months.
3 months.
It took us 3 months.
And the stuff was sold, the cookies were sold on,
Yeah.
and the monies were used to help the family.
To help the families, yeah.
As we speak now and as we close off, let's talk about your book, Escape.
Yes.
Was it your escape? Is it escape in general? What was it all about?
As a writer and philanthropist, I thought let me do something for women. Something that most women don't visit, our fears, our emotions, our weakness. In this book, it's about two women that met strangers. The other one going through a sudden divorce. 1 month in marriage, the husband decided, I don't want you anymore. I don't love you. Not that I hate you, but I'm not ready for marriage. Boom. The family has no father anymore in the house. She wanted to commit suicide. She met someone at the hospital who also was going through. So now...
Are these fictional characters
fictional,
or people that...
fictional. So now what happened is, when they were talking in the hospital, the other one said, I want you to come to my home. They went into her garden. I want her to escape from everything. Let me tell you what I went through. When she opened up, when this one listened, her life changed. They escaped into serenity and hope. So the book is about, you need to find your way out of everything. There's always a way for you to escape, and it's only Allah.
Okay. When was this book published?
Last year,
Okay.
2022.
And
in 2024.
How
2 years
was it
ago.
received?
Well received.
Okay. That's all we have time for. Thank you so much. It's been absolutely fascinating. Thank you for sharing with us. Thank you for opening your heart, your soul to us all. I love you with you always. And there you have it. Thank you indeed for your company. And sometimes we think we're in a dark space. We need to listen to these stories to realize that the grass ain't greener on the other side. Thank you for watching. Till the next time, as always, Assalamu alaikum and Khuda Hafiz.